Hi guys, welcome to my channel Cream and Lens, and I'm your host Adhyan Sahai. I just want to keep this video short, so let's begin. I started food photography about 2 years ago. So I was going through Shivesh Bhatia's profile. So I went to my dad and I asked him for a DSLR. He replied with no, and I feel that was great because then what it led me to, it gave me the opportunity to use my smartphone and learn food photography. So I shot for 8 months, 7 to 8 months using my phone and after which finally uh, I got my first DSLR after my 12th boards. And ever since I've been using this Nikon, pretty good camera for the price. A little about me, and now let's move on to the main part of the video. That I would say the reason why you guys are here. The first thing I learned of when you start food photography or any photography, you're intrigued by. So I saw these, things that you can do with your camera and smartphone, like when you go to pro mode and you can change ISO, and I didn't know what all these were, and I'm sure you start no one knows it. So it was all new and nice to me. So I started playing around until uh, and then I started, and then I was like, I have to learn this because I feel I'm enjoying food photography. So let's see how it goes. So I started learning. The first thing I learned was ISO. ISO is nothing but your cameras or your sensors sensitivity towards light. How sensitive is your camera sensor towards light? Well, if you ask me for numbers, it goes from 100 to anywhere. A DSLR can take 25,600, I think is the last, or even beyond that to as higher as you go for the cameras range. So increasing ISO will increase grains in your image. It's pretty normal because if you think you're increasing camera sensitivity, so your sensitivity is increasing and you're letting in that much more light come in. That's easy. If you look here, so I have on my one side I have the DSLR, and on this side I have your phone sensor. You see the size difference? So if you're taking pictures with phone, you're and the ISO here, even though it's the same number, this is way smaller. So if you put in more light, if you increase the sensitivity as an increase ISO, if you go for 2000 ISO 3000, you're just letting your sensor, you're making your sensor vulnerable a lot. Well, in case of an DSLR camera or even mirrorless, I don't know anything about mirrorless, but DSLR's crop sensor, if you talk about, is big and it can take that much amount of ISO. So that's ISO for you guys. So keep it low. If you're not going for something, specific, like you want ISO because you want some motion photography or something, that's different. Otherwise, keep your ISO low no matter what, or at least try to. Next, I want to talk about Aperture. Now, Aperture is something that is pretty new to me. I mean, not that new, but it is new to me because first 8 months of my journey as a food photographer, when I started, I wasn't able to control Aperture. And Aperture is nothing but, so in simple words, I would say it's just how open is your lens, or it's the opening of your lens, how high it's open, how low it's open. So a higher f number, what do you mean by a higher f number? A higher f number is f12, f13. What does it mean? It means it's this. Imagine this to be f12 and this is f3. So you're basically letting in more light inside your camera, means your picture will be more brighter. So you can see the difference between a low aperture and a high aperture. And when you talk about lower your f number, I mean f3.5, your less things would be in focus. If you're taking a flat lay and you have like 12 elements, 12 different plates of food, you need an higher f number. So you can see here I shot at f10 or f11. So that is aperture for you. That's what I have learned. If you guys know more about Aperture, do let me know because there are a lot of things I don't know. Moving on, let's talk about the favorite part. Shutter speed is nothing but this, a click. It's a shutter closing. When you click a picture, it's a sound that makes, right? Speed is basically controlling how fast or how slow you want that shutter to go. Like, do you want freeze motion or do you want fast motion? Freezing motion would need a lower shutter speed, so 1 by 800th of a second, 1 by 1000th of a second. Sugar dusting all needs, that much time to, freeze motion. And I, so the reason why it's my favorite is when I started, I saw these beautiful photos of people, taking freezing motion, being sugar dust, flour dust, and all kinds of cocoa powder. It it looks so beautiful, and I wanted to try it. So here you can see my first, like cocoa powder dusting, which I took with my phone, and the phone that I used then was like a Redmi Note 4. And so basically, what you need is a tripod. I think tripod is the most important part for action photography or motion photography, you could say. So yeah, so this is what you need. But if you're talking about like higher shutter speed, like 1/10th of a second, 1/20th of a second, so that means is that's how long your shutter will take to click one picture. It's pretty amazing. I mean, if you're shooting handheld, I know a lot of people you guys would be shooting handheld, be it food or food. You would need at least a minimum shutter speed of 1/18th of a 80th of a second. My bad, 1/80th of a second, because even a little vibration would make your picture hazy, as in not focus. So that's why it's highly recommended to use a tripod when you're capturing motion in photos, because uh, by fixing a shutter speed at that, you need to need a tripod to balance other things out. Also, one more quick thing that I learned recently only is, if you're and practice as well, this is important for video making. So if your f-stop is, say, f 5.6, you need a shutter speed of at least 1/10th, I would say 1/20th of a second. So it's, the rule is 180-degree rule, which means it should be double. So your shutter speed should be double of what your f-stop is. So these are the three basic things about that every photographer, and even I, had to learn in the beginning. And frankly, if you love photography and if you love food like me, especially desserts, and you would love to try these things out. So this is it. If you guys enjoyed this video and if you found it helpful, I know it was technical and all, but I have a lot of things planned. See you guys, bye.